Welcome to This Explainer. Today we're tackling something absolutely crucial, data visualization design. We've all been there, right? Staring at a screen just packed with numbers, a million colors, feeling totally lost? Well, what if I told you that by using just a handful of core principles, you can take those cluttered, confusing charts and turn them into clear, actionable insights? Because that's exactly what we're going to do today. So, I want you to picture a really high-stakes scenario. Imagine you're a CEO. You have a massive strategic call to make, and you've got exactly 15 seconds to look at a dashboard to make that decision. Just 15 seconds. If you can't instantly understand the visualization in that tiny window, well, it's completely failed its purpose, hasn't it?
Okay, let's dive into this. Think about two totally different approaches. First, you've got this absolute nightmare of a setup. We'll call it Dashboard A. It's got like 15 competing colors, those weird distorted 3D charts, tiny fonts, just a completely cluttered layout. Then, contrast that with Dashboard B. Simple colors, nice big labels, a super clear visual hierarchy, and a really minimal aesthetic. Poor design, like the first example, doesn't just confuse people, it actively misleads them. It hides the actual insights and ramps up cognitive load. But good design, it cuts right through the noise, saves you time, and actually drives better decisions.
To get to that level of effectiveness, we need a sort of survival toolkit. We're going to break this down into three main building blocks, starting with block 1, foundation. This covers simplicity, clarity, and chart choice. We've got to build that strong foundation by stripping away the noise.
The very first principle here is simplicity. Less is truly more. You have to be ruthless and remove literally anything that doesn't serve the data itself. That means ditching unnecessary colors, those decorative background images, drop shadows, clip art, and please, absolutely no 3D effects. You want to laser focus your audience's attention solely on the information that supports your main message.
And that leads us perfectly into clarity. A visualization should never, ever try to be everything to everyone. Every single chart you make should answer exactly one question. For instance, what are our highest selling products? Mixing a bunch of totally unrelated messages into one single graphic is just a recipe for instant confusion. If you make them guess what they're looking at, you've already lost them.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly how to map out that single question to the absolute best chart type. It's like a giant puzzle, and you just need the right piece. If you're comparing things, go with a bar chart. Showing a trend over time, you're going to want a line chart. For distribution, grab a histogram. If you're showing a relationship, a scatter plot is your best bet. And for composition, well, a pie chart is okay, but really only if you have a very small handful of categories.
Take a look at how a super simple bar chart handles quarterly sales. Your eye can instantly compare Q1 to Q4, right? It's effortless. Now think about why this flat, clean bar chart is drastically better than some cluttered 3D pie chart. With a bar chart, our brains can easily just compare the lengths of the bars. But with a 3D pie chart, the angles and the perspective literally distort the reality of the numbers.
Now, a clear chart is great, but it's totally worthless if it's lying to you. So that brings us to block 2, trust. This is where we focus on accuracy, honesty, and consistency. Accuracy means representing your data honestly, which means you have to beware of misleading scales. Imagine your sales were 98 lakh last year and 100 lakh this year. If you start your y-axis at 95 lakh instead of 0, that relatively small 2 lakh increase is going to look like this massive exponential leap. Distorted axes, wrong scales, missing labels, they're incredibly dangerous because they actually manipulate the viewer into seeing a lie.
To maintain trust, you also absolutely need consistency. You have to use the exact same colors, fonts, layouts, and chart styles throughout your entire dashboard. Why? Well, consistency builds a predictable rhythm. It literally trains the viewer's brain on how to read your dashboard, which massively lowers their cognitive load. You definitely don't want them having to relearn what the color blue means on every single page.
Once your foundation is rock solid and your data is honest, we hit our final building block. Block 3, polish. This covers color, typography, space, hierarchy, and accessibility. It's all about how we guide the eye. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how we approach color. Color should never just be decoration. It has to be used with absolute purpose. You should really limit your palettes to maybe 4 to 6 colors, and every single one of them needs a strict assigned meaning. Think blue for general information, green for success, red for warnings, orange to grab attention, and gray to just quietly push non-essential data right into the background.
And while we're on the subject of color, we have to talk accessibility. Get this, roughly 8% of men have some form of color vision deficiency. That's a huge chunk of your audience, which is exactly why we must never rely solely on red and green combinations to tell a story. We always need to ensure sufficient contrast and use clear labels in addition to our colors, so nobody is left guessing.
Next up is typography. And there are some hard and fast rules here, for sure. Always choose readable sans serif fonts like Arial, Calibri, or Aptos. Keep your titles nice and large, between 28 and 36 points, and your body text between 20 and 24. Avoid decorative fonts like the Plague. And, crucially, every chart must include descriptive titles, access labels, units, and data sources. Seriously, a beautifully designed chart without clear labels loses all of its meaning in a heartbeat.
Then there's the real secret weapon of great designers, white space. I really need you to reframe how you think about empty space on a screen. White space is not wasted space. Actually, it's a highly active design element. It physically separates information, gives your data room to breathe, reduces visual clutter, and naturally guides the viewer's attention exactly where you want it to go.
All of these elements come together to create visual hierarchy. When you're arranging a dashboard, you have to position the most important insights where the eye naturally goes first, which is usually the top left. So start by placing your top-level KPI cards at the very top. Then drop your high-level summary charts right below those, followed by the more detailed, granular charts at the bottom. Oh, and keep your filters consistently on the left or the top so they're always super easy to find.
To tie all of these rules together, we're going to build to the ultimate mental model for visualization. The guiding philosophy, maximizing the data-ink ratio.
This is the data-ink ratio, a really famous concept introduced by visualization pioneer Edward Tufte. The whole philosophy is brilliant because it's just so simple. Your goal is to maximize the ink used to display actual, meaningful data while fiercely minimizing the non-data ink. You know, all those decorations that add absolutely nothing to the viewer's understanding.
So, the crucial point is that we have to declare absolute war on what Tufte calls chart junk. Chart junk is the ultimate enemy of the data-ink ratio. We're talking drop shadows, distracting color gradients, decorative background images, excessive grid lines, and for sure, those awful 3D effects on 2D data. The golden rule is simple. If an element does not actively improve understanding, delete it immediately. Before you publish any dashboard, report, or presentation from now on, I want you to run it through this rapid-fire checklist. Use it as your blueprint. Just ask yourself, is the chart type appropriate? Is the title clear? Are all the necessary labels present? Is the color scheme consistent? Is the visualization entirely honest, with no misleading scales? And the big one, can it be understood in under 10 seconds?
If you actually follow these principles, if you champion simplicity, honesty, and that data-ink ratio, you aren't just making pretty pictures anymore. You're going to be driving real, informed decisions. So I'll leave you with this one provocative question. If you were presenting your very own data to your CEO tomorrow morning, would your chart survive the 15-second test? Take a hard look at your work, strip out that chart junk, and let your data speak for itself. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and happy designing.